Hi everyone, welcome to my page. I'm Sophia. Will be running as an independent in the next state election on the 8th of March 2025. So this is my website. This is the place for you to familiarise yourself with who I am and what I stand for. So I've got some blogs on here and links to all of my social media, and my staff and I have been working very hard on making it easy to navigate. Having said that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have and welcome discussions about anything really. You need to know who you are voting for, and I want for people to be able to make an informed decision for the next election. My aim is to take a sensible, reality and science-based approach to whatever may come up in the chamber and in our society. So, what do I stand for? So I care for the environment, and I'm aware of several areas that are quite polluted in Western Australia, which is such a shame because we live in such a beautiful state. So Wittenoom is probably the most famous one, with the asbestos fibres still spreading further and now affecting the Yindji-Barnji people. There are other sites as well, like Pemberton Mill site, for instance, which is not that famous, but we are still dealing there with the dioxins, arsenic and PCBs, which are left over from the logging industry. Now, one method of remediation that might be useful where this is necessary is hemp. So speaking of things I stand for, hemp is definitely one of them. I think hemp is amazing. It has many applications, not just environmental remediation, but also housing, clothing, insulation, pet bedding, bioplastics and paper. Imagine what this can do for our environment, our farmers and our economy. I will still be advocating for a regulated market for cannabis and a decriminalisation model for other illicit substances. I'm motivated for that because it gives the best outcomes and lowers the crime rates. So Portugal's a great example there, for instance. They had a massive reduction in crime as soon as they decriminalised illicit substances, and also longer term a much reduced issue with people with addictions. So they view it as a health problem, which is essentially what it is. It's not a criminal problem. Data also shows that when cannabis is legalised, that we have a reduction in alcohol use. So obviously alcohol has many negative effects as well as for the person, but also on our society as well, with it being a factor in violence in general and domestic violence specifically. Now, having a regulated market for cannabis will allow for safeguarding, and that is really one of the main reasons why we want to see a regulated market, so that we can make sure that those who are underage or those prone to mental health issues are screened before they start to use it. Currently, no drug dealer is going to ask you if you have a history of mental health or even what your age is. Now, when we are looking at the other illicit substances, I would like to see pill testing available. This has been shown to reduce overdoses and the burden on our healthcare system. So that makes sense to me. And these are all harm reduction strategies. These are not strategies of endorsement. It is really aimed at reducing the harm to the individual, to our society, and reducing the burden on the healthcare system. Now, as a healthcare professional myself with qualifications as a registered nurse, a naturopath and a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, I think it's pretty obvious that health is very important to me. And I very much believe that we need a system of preventative health care here in Western Australia, and to be honest, all around the world. And that should underpin our healthcare system. So we need education, we need stronger interventions, regulating what we can buy in the way of food with less sugar, less additives, and more nutrient-dense foods to make sure that people on any budget have access to good nutrition. Food is one of the big things, and sugar in particular causes so many issues for our health and well-being. And you're looking at diabetes, cardiovascular disease, autoimmune disorders, even cancer can be linked to sugar as well. So we really need to reduce our intake. Now, in line with my passion around health, I will not support any mandates for medical treatments. I believe that our bodies are our own, and that informed consent must apply to all medical procedures. And those harmed by those procedures or other medical interventions should be compensated. Moving along, I'm not a fan of identity politics, and whilst I acknowledge that different populations have different needs, my preference is for a cohesive society with a focus on community versus segregation. We are all different, yet all human. So let's focus on what connects us versus what separates us. Having said that, the safety of women and girls is important, so I will continue to advocate for the sex-based rights and protections that will allow for us to be safe in this society. I would love for this to be unnecessary, and hopefully at some stage in the future this will be the case. And in line with this, the safety and status of women and girls and boys are negatively affected by freely available sex abuse materials, so I will speak out against that too. I would love to see a society free of violence and cruelty, and I'm hoping that we can evolve beyond all of that. Now, I have many concerns about our future here in Western Australia, but also beyond. We are heading into a future that will pose many challenges to humanity. We will be dealing with the consequences of not having cared better for our planet. Food, water, and energy will be among our main concerns. For our food production, I think we very much need to consider regenerative farming practices. The soil has a microbiome, and just like us, and the healthier that soil is, the more nutrient dense the food is that it produces, and the healthier we are as well. Now, healthier soil is stronger, it's less prone to erosion due to wind, water and fires. You know, when you've got good root penetration of the soil, it stabilizes that soil, it allows for the water to penetrate much more deeply, and that can help protect us against droughts. And then when you have fire, obviously if the soil is more moist, it's going to make it more difficult for the fire to destroy everything and take a hold. Now, looking at water, it is absolutely the most precious resource that we have. Yet so much is polluted, not just through our everyday activities, but also through industrial uses like mining. Now, our economy is heavily dependent on the mining industry, both for employment and taxes. And whilst I appreciate the benefits it is providing our society with, some forms of mining are quite toxic, in particular for lithium. And I'm looking forward to the day when hemp batteries will be the norm, and they are being produced in the US already. Now, energy or electricity, depending on its form, will be a major election topic coming up. The current debate is divisive and there are issues with most solutions. It is such a loaded debate with dis and misinformation coming from all sides. And such an important topic, I would like to see feasibility studies using waste for methane production and thorium instead of uranium for nuclear. I'm hoping that we are getting closer to nuclear fusion versus fission, because I think that might be a viable strategy as well. I would also like to see a feasibility study done on a decentralized power grid, and the reason for that is that it will be much less prone to fires, accidents, or extreme climate events. So what that would mean is that possibly smaller communities or individual houses would have their own maybe a small wind tulip on their roof and some solar panels plus some deep cycle batteries to keep a stable electricity supply for people. Now, a lot of power is lost during the transport of electricity, and we spend large amounts of money on maintaining our electricity grid, power poles, making sure that everything is functioning. We spend heaps of money on that, and I think that by going to a decentralized power grid, that we would be reducing the cost of electricity to households. Now, with the power debate at the moment, we're lacking nuance, and I think that in our society in general, we have lost the ability to have nuanced debates, and I think that is at a great loss to us overall. Nuanced debate is absolutely essential, and it forms the foundation of our democracy, and democracy is worth holding on to. Thank you.